For over 25 years, Gran Turismo has remained one of the greatest racing games, setting the standard that rivals still chase today. From its humble beginnings on the original PlayStation to the realism and insane details of Gran Turismo 7, the series has evolved the racing genre in many ways. Today we'll take a look back at the history that made Gran Turismo so legendary and what the future might hold for one of the most iconic racing franchises ever created. Let's jump into it. It all started with a man named Kazunari Yamauchi. This passion for cars stemmed from a very young age for Yamauchi by driving around town with his father. He's a real car enthusiast that has been racing and collecting some of the most iconic cars that we all love today, including the Nissan GT-R, Porsche GT3, Honda S2000, the Ford GT, and many others. Yamauchi originally wanted to make Gran Turismo first, but when he joined Sony in the early 1990s, the PlayStation was brand new and the company wasn't confident about funding a realistic racing simulator just yet. At the time, most racing games were arcade style, like Ridge Racer or Mario Kart, and Yamauchi's idea for this highly realistic driving simulator, with hundreds of cars and accurate physics, seemed too risky for a launch project. To prove himself, and to show what his team could do with the 3D graphics on the PlayStation, Yamauchi created MotorToon Grand Prix, which released in 1994. It was colorful, cartoony, and much safer from a business perspective for Sony to invest in. The success of MotorToon allowed Yamauchi and his team, Polly's Entertainment, to create a second game, you guessed it, MotorToon Grand Prix 2, which released in May 1996. This game was also very successful and a major stepping stone for Polyphony Digital. The success of these two racers gave Yamauchi the chance to pitch his dream project, Gran Turismo, once again. And this time, Sony approved it. Even while developing the MotorToon games, Yamauchi and his team secretly been working on the Gran Turismo project for years. Gran Turismo first released in Japan in 1997, and a year later worldwide, and became a huge commercial success. Gran Turismo wasn't just another arcade racer. It was built for true car enthusiasts, featuring over 150 vehicles, realistic driving physics, groundbreaking customization, and jaw-dropping graphics that pushed the limits of 3D gaming in the 90s. Gran Turismo sold 10.8 million copies worldwide, making it the best-selling PlayStation game. It was one of the most influential games of its era, paving the way for countless racing titles that players still enjoy today. The follow-up to Kaz's vision of the real driving simulator didn't just build on the original, it exploded in scale. Everything fans loved about the first game got even better. More cars, more tracks, better visuals, and a far deeper experience overall. This time, players had access to over 600 cars and 27 tracks. The sequel also added more vehicle brands like Mercedes-Benz, Ford, Mini, and others, giving the players an even wider garage to build from. GT2 also expanded on the racing variety, adding rally events and even the legendary Pikes Peak Hill Climb, which was a fan favorite. Gran Turismo 2 was released on December 11th, 1999, and it sold over 9 million copies worldwide, which was an incredible send-off for the original PlayStation. With the jump to PlayStation 2, Gran Turismo entered a new era. Gran Turismo 3 wasn't just an upgrade, it was a complete reinvention. Powered by the PS2's upgraded hardware, the game delivered a massive leap in graphics, physics, and overall realism, setting a new benchmark for all racing games at the time. Although the car count was reduced compared to GT2, the attention to detail skyrocketed. Every vehicle was meticulously modeled, tracks looked more lifelike than ever, and the driving experience felt closer to reality. GT3 became a global smash, releasing on April 28, 2001. It sold over 14 million copies and cemented Gran Turismo as the definitive racing series of its generation. If Gran Turismo 3 set the standard for realism, then Gran Turismo 4 raised the bar even higher. Launching on the PlayStation 2, GT4 was the most ambitious entry yet, with over 700 cars and 51 tracks from around the world. The game introduced photo mode, giving the players the ability to capture their favorite cars in stunning detail, and expanded on this sim-like feeling with advanced physics and more driving realism than ever before. Gran Turismo 4 also featured a wider variety of racing disciplines, including rally, endurance, and special events like the Nürburgring 24 Hours, making it a true showcase of automotive culture. With more content, more polish, and unmatched authenticity for its time, Gran Turismo 4 is still considered by many fans to be the peak of the series. Gran Turismo 4 was released on December 28, 2004, and sold over 11 million copies. I wanted to mention that a few of you are probably wondering why I'm not covering the prologue titles of Gran Turismo. I did spend some time playing a few of them years ago. However, considering they're just a taste of the main titles, or basically a test bed for the new mechanics and graphics, I figured I'd stick with the main titles as they are the main point of interest. With that said, let's move on to the next title. That brings us to Gran Turismo 5. This was the series' long-awaited jump into the HD era, and it was a huge step forward. GT5 introduced over 1,000 cars, dynamic weather and time changes, online multiplayer, and even full damage modeling, something the fans have been asking for since the very beginning. It also brought new modes like NASCAR and the Top Gear test track, which I remember playing quite often, making it one of the most feature-packed entries in the franchise. Gran Turismo 5 released on November 24, 2010, and sold almost 12 million copies worldwide. Gran Turismo 6 followed in 2013 as the series' farewell to the PlayStation 3. Instead of focusing on a big leap in graphics, GT6 refined what GT5 started, delivering smoother physics, improved handling, and a much larger car roster with over 1,200 vehicles. It also added new locations, like the iconic Goodwood Hill Climb, and even fantasy tracks set on the moon. While it didn't feel as groundbreaking as GT5, GT6 was all about polishing the experience and sending the PS3 era off in style. Gran Turismo 6 was released on December 6, 2013, and sold 5 million copies worldwide. After Gran Turismo 6, the series shifted direction with Gran Turismo Sport. Unlike the previous titles that emphasized huge car lists and offline progression, GT Sport focused heavily on the competitive online racing. It introduced the FIA Certified Championships, where players could represent their country or favorite car manufacturer in officially sanctioned events. While the game launched with fewer cars and tracks compared to past titles, Polyphony expanded it over time with free updates, and its focus on esports laid the foundation for the modern era of Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo Sport released on October 17, 2017, and sold well over 12 million copies worldwide. Then came Gran Turismo 7, returning to the series' roots on both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Unlike GT Sport's esports focus, GT7 brought back the classic single-player campaign, car collecting, tuning, and the iconic license tests that longtime fans loved. With over 400 cars at launch, stunning visuals that took advantage of the PS5's hardware, and a blend of traditional gameplay with modern online features, GT7 struck a balance between the old school Gran Turismo and the competitive spirit introduced in sport. It felt like a true celebration of the franchise's legacy while also looking ahead into the future. Polyphony continues to roll out free monthly updates, adding new cars, menu books, and rarely new tracks to keep the game fresh, and I cover all those updates here on the channel. Gran Turismo 7 was released on March 4th, 2022, and sold over 15 million copies, making it the most sold Gran Turismo game ever. Gran Turismo 8 is clearly in development, and while we don't have a release date yet, I'd like to go over what I'm hoping to see in the next project, and what we'll likely get when it launches. Starting with the cars, I'd love to see over 1,000 cars at launch. It's not likely, but it wouldn't be the first time considering Gran Turismo 6 had over 1,200 vehicles. As car guys, we can never get enough cars. The more we get, the better it is. Realistically, I'd assume we'd get around 500 to 700 cars on launch, considering their previous titles. What good are cars without some amazing tracks to race them on? In Gran Turismo 8, I'm hoping to see the biggest track list ever, and that means bringing back some fan favorite classics that didn't make it into GT7. It would be amazing to see New York, Las Vegas, Hong Kong, Special Stage Route 7, and the Seattle circuit make a comeback. Customization is another area that needs to go even further. Imagine universal engine swaps, full interior and exterior upgrades, and even officially licensed body kits, rather than, well, these. Throw in a bigger wheel selection and some proper drag racing parts, and it would be a dream come true. And speaking of drag racing, that's something I'd personally love to see return. If any studio can bring it back and do it right, it's Polyphony. I'm aware that Gran Turismo is not a drag racing focused game, however, they've done it before, and I would love to see them dive back into it. I'm sure Gran Turismo 8 will have even better graphics and higher FPS, and depending on the release date, I'd assume it would be on the PS5 and PS6 hardware only. Considering the Gran Turismo series usually takes a few years between releases, the shortest gap being just 2 years between GT2 and GT3, and the longest gap being 6 years between GT4 and GT5, I'd say Gran Turismo 8 is still a couple years away. I'm curious to know what you guys would like to see in Gran Turismo 8, and when you think it'll release. If you guys made it this far in the video, as always, I appreciate your time, and let me know in the comments what your favorite Gran Turismo is, and what game you spent the most time playing. What would you like to see in Gran Turismo 8? I'll be reading what you guys have to say. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.